Yeah, yeah, I think so.
We're gonna find out.
Hey, Jake used to work in there, he was here, I mean,
Let's go to the agenda item.
I mean, it
Might be the most robust, agenda we've had. It goes to scale up what it is.
okay, got your attention? Yes, that means we are ready to go. This is the special call town council meeting, Thursday, November the 7th. Of course, we had a date change because we had a little thing called Halloween and then the election, so we got changed. But I'm calling it to order, and we're going to start with the pledge to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And I have a roll call, please.
Connie Reed. Here. Carl Kincaid.
Present.
Stephanie Merle. Here. Brian Hill.
Here.
Scott Glover.
Okay, we have the majority tonight. Public comment, I have one. It's on the public comment sheet. Mr. Charles Buck. Okay. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
I make a motion to approve the, October meeting.
Do I have a second? Second. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
I can't get my pen. Now we're going down to the public comment. Trying to get ahead of things here. I have one person that is signed up to speak, Mr. Charles Buck. Mr. Buck is wanting to speak on the Westcott Road.
Yes.
I like your shirt before you.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak again. I'm just going to repeat what I've mentioned in the previous meetings, and not to beat a dead horse, but I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page that the property on the 3027 Westcott is going to come in as an R1, only as an R1. So that's all I'd like to see. There's no opposing, anything opposing to annexation. It's just that I don't think, and my neighbors don't think, there should be any duplexes or apartment complexes built there. So if it's just 3 properties, we're good to go. So that's all I'm going to say.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on down, we have several public hearing meetings tonight, and the state changed our way of handling meetings now, so we have all the public hearings before we don't vote now, we just have the public hearing. So we have, now we have the public hearing meeting, considering a resolution of the town of White Bluff, Tennessee, annexing territory by owner consent, approving a plan of services and establishing R1 low-density residential zoning for real property identified as Dixon County Tax Map 082, parcel 036.04, located at 3027 Westcott Road in its entirety. Does anyone want to speak?
I'll speak. I'm the owner of the property, and I'm representing Northcutt Custom Homes, and we're asking for the annexation.
Do you mind giving your name?
My name is Vaden Northcutt, I'm sorry.
That's okay. All right.
We're asking for the annexation to come in as an R1, and we're gonna propose, we have a sketch plat of 3 properties, 2 in the front, 1 in the back, and all the utilities are gonna be served. There's public sewer, public water, electric, and natural gas, and we're gonna propose building 3 custom homes on the property. Anybody would like to see this plat for any reason?
And just for clarity, all that can be achieved at your existing R1, yes?
Yes, it can be. This has been done under that current zone. Anyone else? There's a right-of-way on the left-hand side of the property coming in. That's eventually going to be moved up to the right-hand side of the property. This is just a preliminary plat till we get to there's some new changes in the subdivision regulations that there's been a reduction in the front setbacks, and this actually meets the old regulations. So we more than comply with the setbacks and the things that we need to come to the planning commission with a preliminary plat. But are you gonna need any questions?
If I may, this is just the public hearing comment. It's time for members of the public to say their cases will come back up on the agenda. They may call you back up for more
Okay.
questions.
We will vote, this is, I'm sorry, this is public hearing, and your vote will come up later.
Thank you.
Anyone else want to speak?
We would like to see a copy of that plat. All of us right here are neighbors that live on it.
Jeff?
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
Sure.
You're an electronic mom? I don't know if we don't have, we don't have it on the computer.
Yeah, we have to have it on the computer to put it.
Okay. Okay.
You live.
Okay, does anyone else want to speak?
Where would the road be going?
Right now, it's supposed to be my understanding.
Okay, come on.
Front, center, and the mic.
I'm not sure I understand the plan, and my husband and I are brand new to White Bluff, and we are residents,
Could I have order, please? We have someone here trying to speak.
we are residents of Bell Circle. Is this property that we are now looking at adjacent to Bell Circle? No. Is there, we have signs indicating there's going to be a hearing about that tonight. That's going to be on the agenda later in? Okay. We're having trouble hearing back here. Okay, I don't know if people can speak up just a little bit about it. Thank you.
Oh, that one right there, Jeff, is that one thing where they're speaking? Okay. Do we have anyone else?
What are the sizes of these homes? Are they single-family homes?
They are single-family homes. The 2 in the front are going to be approximately 1,800 square feet, and the one in the rear is going to be 2,300 square feet.
And the driveway going to the one in the...
Ladies and gentlemen, this is public hearing right now. It's not for commentary from the audience. We're just hearing public comments on items that get brought up.
Well, the more we get ironed out now, the less we'll have to talk about when we come back.
We'll talk about it, there'll be some discussion here on the council later. Okay. Anyone else want to speak on this? Next public hearing is considering a resolution of the town of White Bluff, Tennessee. It kind of goes along with the above, approving a plan of services and establishing that it will be an R1 low-density residential zoning for real property. No, this is another meeting. Okay, this is for Buckhorn Road, a different property, White Bluff, Tennessee. It's map 096, parcel 01606. For some of you that are not sure where Buckhorn Road is, it's out here. It's the little strip of land that the Bryants used to have at the very end. It runs by the dollar store out here. That's Buckhorn Road. At the end of Buckhorn Road, there's just one plot that is just like in the middle of nowhere. So it's been asked to be annexed in with plan of services and zoning. It will come in as R1, low density residential, in its entirety. Does anyone want to speak on that?
That is the Bell Circle.
That's the Bell Circle. That's the Bell Circle. Okay.
There's a lot of discussion around the neighbors on Bell Circle, and that's why we're here. We're going by hearsay. We don't really know what's happening because people are proposing that there possibly might be an exit from that property onto Bell Circle. When they develop that property, where will that traffic for those people who live in that area, will they be exiting? Will they be going out to 70? Or is there any possibility they might access onto Bell Circle?
So, I couldn't tell you that because this item is just for annexing into the city. That's all this is for.
There's a strip of property that is adjacent to Bell Circle, and then there's the undeveloped wooded area. And so we're trying to figure out exactly what is going to be annexed by the city. I assume it's the strip that's adjacent to Bell Circle, and that's going to have now the community, care by the city. Is that correct?
If it's annexed, then the city will have to care of the city.
Okay, so that property will be. And as far as any possibility of crossing from those homes into Bell Circle, is that consideration at this time?
I'm not sure what you're asking, where the lot is coming in.
And we'll be able to get into questions when it comes up on the agenda.
We keep forgetting that.
This is just public hearings. By state law, it is time for the public to come and raise concerns or questions or comments, and then when it actually comes up, the council will get into all the details.
So I guess I can say that residents of Bell Circle are concerned that there might be access from that property onto Bell Circle.
Okay, all right, thank
None of that
you.
will be determined tonight, it's just if it can be in the city.
Oh, that's it, just annexation. What's your name?
My name is Diane Oxford, 132 Bell Circle.
What Brian was saying, this is Bell Circle, this picture is, it was all Bell Circle.
And this is the property right here.
That's it.
Right. Thank you.
Did you put at the bottom of that Brian Paul? Yeah.
Does anyone else want to speak? Does anyone else want to speak on the Buckhorn Road? All right, we're moving on down to another public hearing before the second and final reading, an ordinance to rezone the R1 portion of Dixon County, tax map 096, parcel 100.24. It's the Jazz Center property, which is, I'm sure most of you are familiar with it, it's going out toward Cheatham County. From R1, which is a low-density residential, to C2, which is highway commercial. Would anyone like to speak on that? Okay. Moving on down to our final public hearing before second and final reading, an ordinance to amend the White Bluff Municipal Code Title 15, Motor Vehicles, Traffic and Parking, Chapter 6, Parking, and Chapter 7, Enforcement regarding to on-street parking. Would anyone like to speak on that? Okay, public hearings are closed. Moving on down to communication from the mayor. We have the White Bluff Christmas Parade, which is always electric parade, the second Saturday in December. It's downtown White Bluff. You'll be seeing a lot more of that. We have our own Facebook page and the Polar Train Express. I think that's the theme this year. Going on down to budget and finance.
I have a question.
You have a question on the parade?
Yes.
Yes?
Can I still come as the Grinch?
I love it.
Okay.
I'm sure the Grinch went on the Polar Train. So, yeah. Yeah, you may. We are. Way to be.
So nothing's different with the finances. However, talked to the auditor, and we are going to add a line so that we can show the interest of the local government investment pool.
Okay.
And something I didn't point out last time, if you'll look on page 2, the miscellaneous, it went up like $360,000, and that was for the card. I didn't point that out last time.
The card, the loan.
Yeah.
362, 545.
Right. So it went up to 360 right there.
Have any questions from finance? It's the lady to ask. Moving on down. Consider a resolution of the Town of White Bluff, Tennessee, authorizing the use of Omnia state contracts for procurement purposes. You want to talk about that, Misty?
I do. I did mention, though, last week, the differences in the state contracts, and when I was looking at the state contracts, I came across Region 3, which was more pointed towards municipalities, and I did talk about the state grant. I found out that we could get 100% back, so, or 100% paid for is what they do. It's not a reimbursement loan. So over 3 years, no, 4 years, I'm sorry, it would save the citizens $185,372 in grants. So what I have passed out here is a contract for VC3, and it shows everything that they offer. And since we are in crunch time for the grant, because we're supposed to have that turned in on the 27th of November, and we are also at a point that the insurance is not covering us for cyber because we are not meeting what we're supposed to be meeting. I suggest we would go with VC3.
So what's the date that we have to have this turned in?
So I have talked to Andrew about it. We have to have the grant stuff turned in November 27th. In order to do that, we have to decide on who we're going to use because it's line items. Like, this is what we need, this is how much we need. And I had talked to Andrew about it, and I'll let him explain basically where we are with the whole possible legalities of it.
Sure. And let me back up. So this agenda item is actually a resolution for a general procurement of services through Omnia state contracts. As y'all know, we've talked about this before. When you go with a state contract, you don't go through the bidding process. You just get it through them because it's through the state and you're getting it effective at cost. So you'll need to vote on that as one issue. What's come up is, and make sure I have all this right, Misty, there were 3 different companies looked at for these IT services. 2 of them are through state contracts, which don't require a bid. VC3 is not through a state contract. No bid or RFP was put out by the town. But the necessity for acting to get a grant, which could save the town substantial money, has become time sensitive. So this body, what we're recommending is this body take action on one of those 3 contracts. If it's one of the other 2, if it's one of the 2 state contracts, there's nothing, you're just approving that contract. Misty will go through the grant process and hopefully we get a lot or all of the cost of that over 48 months.
Yes.
Right? Covered, and that would be a very good windfall for the town. If you decide to go with the VC3 contract, which I think is the recommendation of staff, from what Misty looked at, that they seem to fit the town better, you would have to declare that this is an emergency due to the time-sensitive nature of the grant, because you did not put it out for bid. Y'all have the ability to declare that, but I just want to make that clear if you go with that particular contract. I will add, I have dealt with VC3 before, who've worked with governments, and the reports have been positive. That doesn't mean someone else can't also do good work, but I have not heard negative things, and they've been pretty easy to work with. But they're one that's not like the other 2, like R.J. Young and the other ones.
So VC3 actually offers, so with the WIS, the resolution we went with the WIS and the security officer and all the things that we have to meet, there's training the employee. So VC3 offers 12 training hours per employee. So it checks that box. They have a strategic account manager that will actually come to the town once a month and check on things, make sure we've got a plan for our IT. If there's anything that needs to be updated, upgraded, changed over, they do that. And the Microsoft Government Cloud, just, the other one did not. So the reason I think that they're better suited for municipality is because they were the ones that were bringing up the Microsoft Government Cloud. And the other ones didn't mention that. I had to bring it up. Hey, do you offer this? So since they've had experience with municipalities, I just feel like they'd be better.
Can I ask you a question? Other than the fact that we're under a crunch for the grant process, wouldn't this kind of fall under, wouldn't it absolutely fall under an emergency because we're not in compliance?
So typically an emergency is something gets destroyed. That's not exclusively what it means, but if there's something that could affect life, limb, or property, you get to make that argument. And it's in your discretion to declare that as a council. $100,000+ of taxpayer money missing out on a grant, I think that could harm property. Money is property. I also think it is different than a typical emergency in a positive way in that you did get 2 other proposals. You got to see what's out there. You're not just picking somebody and saying, we're not going out for bid, we're just going to declare it an emergency. You went through a process, but now it's come up with a time crunch. They seem to be relatively similar in price. I'll let Misty speak to that. I think a couple of the other 2 have slightly higher startup costs. I just want y'all to be aware that normally, under normal circumstances, you would need to put out an RFP or a bid to be able to contract with for these services. They're not professional services. So I just want y'all to be aware of that. But we do have to come into compliance with state requirements, so that's also an element sitting out there.
Yeah, and that's kind, that's what I was, because we have no cybersecurity protection at the moment. And that's not good.
So just for clarity, do we need to make that as a separate motion? One, to accept the use of Omnia State contracts, and second, to, okay.
Yeah, because they were kind of in the same category, and this came up this afternoon. So that's another reason it's kind of on the agenda this way. I know y'all talked about it on Monday night, but how we had to treat it kind of came up, and I apologize for not being there Monday. But
I would also like to commend Misty, because as she has taken on these new roles, I've seen such an enthusiasm and fervor to learn, to gain, and to really do the town well. So I just want to say thank you, because that's been a pleasure to watch your enthusiasm to dig and to learn about the new things and to help protect us. So thank you.
But I would like to ask that Misty tell us really what this is about, because I mean, we have a lot of people here that this is their first time tonight. They really don't know what we're talking about. How important is this? We know what cybersecurity is. It's come down from the state, correct? But it's something we have to be in compliance about. Can you tell us about that?
So, the state mandated through the municipalities that we need to have better security. They had everybody fill out an assessment, which I believe I was addressed that before. We were fairly, we were kind of low, but we're trying to get better. So, the state also mandated that you name a security officer, and that security officer was to make sure that you were following everything that you needed to do with the state. And I am not an IT person. I don't, that's not my field. That's not my expertise. So in order to fulfill and take care of the town, I would rather have that go out to somebody else. And if I could have that go out to somebody else and protect the town and also get the grant money for it, that's a win-win.
Now, I do need to ask, because I'm very curious, because in the budget, the rate contention, we passed, I believe, around $30-something thousand towards cybersecurity. Will that go towards this, and/or does this help offset some of that? Because obviously, $100,000 a grant. Where does that play out as far as what our down payment to put skin in the game to get into this, versus where does the grants come and help? Can you explain that to us?
I can. So, this is a paid-for grant, not a reimbursement. So the grant would be filled out, the state would pay for it. So we wouldn't actually have to touch that money that we had set aside for that. So we're saving that money.
Really?
Yes.
That's phenomenal.
And I also had them put in a little contingency. If you look at this one here, if you look at the page that says comments, it says all terms, conditions, and monthly costs outlined in this work order are contingent upon client's acceptance of the SLCGP grant. So, if we put in for the grant and we do not get it, we are not held for this here. And it states it again. All terms, conditions, and monthly costs outlined in the work order are void in the event that client does not receive grant approval. So I'm still trying to make sure that, that way, if it doesn't happen, then we can put that bid out. This is just a crunch right here. That's why I was trying to get them in, and they put those contingencies in.
Yeah.
How did you get with DC? I'm sorry.
I was just saying, that's why you're in the awkward period of like, you're approving something above $25,000 a year, but the only way this happens is if the town pays little to no, which would be under $25,000, which doesn't require a bid. But again, you're still acting right now, and that's why we thought you need to be aware of all of that.
And I think it's already been stated, we are not covered by insurance right now.
We are covered by insurance, but we are not covered with the cybersecurity
With the
part of insurance.
cybersecurity, yeah. So if we get hacked, and it has happened, I think it even happened, we've talked about this before, to our Dixon County Sheriff's Department or something,
Yeah.
and they were forced to pay a lot of money out. So that's what we are trying to avoid, and that's what the state wants us to try to avoid.
50, Microsoft Government Community Cloud, will all of the employees' emails be transitioned over to part of that platform?
.gov.
We're going to migrate to a .gov.
Okay.
I do remember the numbers off the top of my head, but I did look at this with the other two state contract approved people, and they did to the price was, I mean, just minimal.
Minute, yeah.
I don't really feel that we're spending, a lot more money on this plan. It maybe a little, but, the training alone, what does that cost if the others don't provide it?
Well, I mean, we're hoping we're not spending any.
Right.
So just for clarity, we're gonna need a two-part motion in a sense. One to allow you to have state contracts as an option, and then secondly would be to declare emergency to authorize you to get this grant for us. Yes.
Enter into this, allow the mayor to enter into this contract and any related documents, because they usually have some follow-up documents that need to be signed.
However you'd like to begin, Madam.
Okay, do I hear a motion to consider the resolution of the town of White Bluff, Tennessee authorizing the use of Omnia State contract for procurement purposes for a grant?
I'll move to accept that resolution, authorize the use of state contracts.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so unanimous, Mr.
And related to that, we need the motion on the DC contract itself. So that was just a resolution.
If you would assist me with this, I'll move to declare an emergency, so that way it will authorize them to declare a state of emergency so they can enter into this contract.
I would say declare an emergency due to grant timing and authorize the mayor to enter into this contract.
Exactly what you said. I'll make that motion.
And I will second that.
So we need another vote. All in favor to enter into this contract, declare it as an emergency?
Aye.
Okay. Anyone against? Okay. So I'll get with you later. And thank you for working on this. I know you put a lot of work into it. Thank you. It's something new for us. It's something, and there's going to be a lot of new things, I think. Consider a resolution of the town of White Bluff, Tennessee, annexing territory by owner consent and to incorporate the same within the boundaries of the town and to approve a plan of services for real property identified as Dixon County Tax Map 082, parcel 036.04, located at 3027 Westcott Road, White Bluff, in its entirety. Do I have a motion?
I'm going to make a motion to approve the annexation of Westcott Road, of the property on Westcott Road,
And plan services.
and plan service.
Have a motion, Councilman Reed. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any more discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Consider on second and final reading an ordinance zoning Dixon County Tax Map 082, parcel 036.04, located at 3027 Westcott Road to R1, low density residential in its entirety. Do I hear a motion?
I make that motion.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Consider a resolution of the town of White Bluff, Tennessee, annexing territory by owner consent and to incorporate the same within the boundaries of the town and to approve a plan of services for real property identified as Dixon County, parcel 016.06, located at the terminus of Buckhorn Road, White Bluff, in its entirety. This is for plan of services and annexation. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve the annexation and plan services for the property on Buckhorn Road.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor say, oh, any discussion, I'm sorry.
The only thing I'd like to say is, to kind of ease some fears, all we're basically doing is annexing this piece of property into the city. We're not giving them permission to do anything beyond that. We're just gonna annex to R1. Anything further that they would like to do, they'll have to come back. And so I don't feel that by us annexing it, we're going to change anything that they could possibly do outside of what they could already do in the county. So I don't feel this is giving them any extra, freedoms.
Except for they get trash service now.
They do get trash service, police service, things of that nature, which is, yes.
Yeah, Jeff, how big is this lot?
Oh, well under that.
So they get one home?
Yeah.
Okay, but I think I understand her question. Would they be allowed to exit from the back of that lot over in the Buckhorn? Did I understand you right when you said
They'd
that?
be able to exit Buckhorn and to Bell Circle.
The only way that I'm aware,
Oh, yeah.
for them to be able to do that is if like the people that own Bell Circle own that piece of property, because otherwise they're not gonna let them have access to Bell Circle, from my understanding.
Has Bell Circle been dedicated over?
We'll do that tonight.
Okay, so it'll be a public road, just like any other. It's gonna be in the permitting process. I don't know I'd have to pull up the regulations of which way the house needs to face, but it'll be the driveway permit. That's gonna determine where it connects. I don't know if we have any information on that, but that'll be at that process. But this is not gonna come in as a plat, like, this is not gonna be seen by the planning commission. It's one lot for a building permit.
So basically, just for clarity, being annexed in the city or not annexed in the city, if they touch Bell Circle, it's a street, they can attach to it, even if they were county.
Yeah, if they were still in the county, they'd still have to come to us for the driveway permit, but
Right.
they wouldn't be under our regulations for the building permit, which is
Gotcha.
odd, but yeah, that's the way that
Okay,
would work.
I'm with you, so that this isn't gonna change that portion of their,
Regardless, they would have to come to us for a driveway permit. This is determining how the property is developed, under what standards.
But I think what she may be getting at is that we're not going to be continuing Buckhorn Road. The city street is not going to be extended to Bell Circle.
So new infrastructure, they would have to come in as a plat, because that would be a new public road, and that would have to be reviewed, and that would be odd. If they're doing a building permit, it needs to be a driveway to a home. I don't know which side they're gonna pick, and I don't know if it's gonna be limited which side they can pick, but not a throughway.
Right, 'cause so we don't want people turning off the 70 and zipping around.
Correct.
Yeah.
So it would, again, if they were gonna put in a new public road, they'd have to come to PC and explain why they're doing that. That'd be an odd one lot plat, but that can happen. Driveway just is one driveway. And they can pick probably which side. I don't know if they've indicated to you, Jeff, which one they're gonna do, but they'll probably gonna have to figure out, are they gonna make it look like it's part of the subdivision or be different? I mean, it's their lot, right? So, but it would just be one driveway.
Do you have a question?
No.
I got a question. This thing says it's got a right of way to Bell Circle, which is exactly what she's asking.
and it very well may for one driveway, but not for I don't think for a throughway. Like, I don't think you're gonna be able to travel from Bell Circle anywhere you want to without Buckhorn.
It says Buckhorn Road, so, right here on this page here, it says it's got a throughway.
Right.
That's not what that means.
What's it mean?
It means that the property is subject to those two public roads.
Okay, so it can go either way probably, or both ways.
To the extent Buckhorn Road is a public road, it would be subject to that. It's not saying they're connected.
So basically, at this point in time, Buckhorn, is a dead-end street.
I don't know if it's on our rolls. I didn't look that up.
It's a private.
So it's a private road.
It's always been treated as a private
It's not a
road.
town street.
If we're not maintaining it, it stays private.
So in essence, if we never accepted that as a street, they couldn't go through as a throughway anyway,
You would be trespassing.
trespassing.
Anyone can drive on someone's land, I suppose.
At least one.
All right, I have a motion from Connie. Second, Brian, have you got something?
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay. Any more discussion?
So, because in Exhibit A of the Plan of Services, it talks about street maintenance. So should that not be included?
No, the last line, you have to talk about streets, but the last sentence of that says there are no new streets in the study area, because they're not proposing any new streets right now.
Okay.
Yeah. We're just clarifying that there's not new stuff coming in. And again, if they were doing a public road, they'd have to come into it.
Right.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, opposed? So that passed. Consider on second and final reading an ordinance, okay. Consider on second and final reading an ordinance zoning Dixon County Tax Map 096, parcel 16.06 to, it's located, this is what we just annexed, Buckhorn Road, coming in as R1, low density residential. Do I hear a motion to approve?
I make that motion.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second. Just gonna let y'all handle all the.
We're gonna do it all night. Don't worry.
Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Moving on down, consider resolution calling for public hearings on both the plan of services and annexation by owner consent for real property identified as Dixon County Tax Map 095, parcel 072.00, located at Highway 70 East across Highway 70 from the previous Hog Heaven restaurant location in its entirety. And this is just annexation and plan of services, and it will come in as R1. Yes. Do I hear a motion?
I make a motion to approve the annexation, and the plan of services.
Do I hear a second?
A second.
No. I'm gonna break this up. Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
There you go.
I'll
Yeah, it sounds like we've only got two people here. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Consider on first reading an ordinance zoning Dixon County Tax Map 095, parcel 072.00. It's just what we just annexed. It goes with it located at Highway 70 East across the previous Hog Heaven restaurant. Come into an R1 low density residential in its entirety. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Okay, I can't remember how to spell your name. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Consider on second and final reading an ordinance to rezone the R1 portion of Dixon County Tax Map 096, parcel 100.24, the Jazz Center property from R1, low density to residential C2 highway commercial. Do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Opposed? Nobody opposed, okay. Consider on first reading sprinkler requirements for structures with shared walls.
I'll make the motion to approve this.
Have a motion by Councilman Kincaid. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Do you have any discussion? Let's see.
So can we just remind everyone again, is this for townhomes and duplexes?
This is for anything with a shared wall, so that would be correct.
Yes.
And multifamily. Quadplex, anything that could have a shared wall, clarifying that if you do not have a shared wall, this would not apply. So some duplexes this wouldn't apply to, because I got that question. I know I wasn't here Monday night, interrupt you, you might have a question for me, but, if you did the detached duplex, it would not be a red line.
Which that term in and of itself to me is an oxymoron, but okay.
The detached duplex. Jeff and I did talk to Roy today, just to make sure he was comfortable with this language, and he was, so, and this is an ordinance, so you'll have another, reading of it next month. This is just first reading.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we will have, there'll be a public hearing. Reading?
No public hearing on this. I will add, we are getting towards the end of the year. It is typically good to give enough notice for people who are coming in for permits. I would say January 1 effective date would probably be best. It's up to you. I mean, the difference between December 3rd, 2nd, whenever our next meeting is, and that's not big, but think about that for the next one. That way you start, and that way Roy knows exactly the start date, so any permit that comes in 2025 will be subject to this. Think on that, if you're comfortable.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Okay. Building permit report.
Mayor, no residential building permits for the month of October. 2 accessory structure permits and 1 patio permit was issued.
Okay. Any questions? Police department report.
Is there gonna be any, full kitchens in?
386 calls for service, of that 172 traffic stops, 120 citations issued, 69 warnings, 22 arrests. Throw this out there while I've got everybody's attention. Macy did have her baby, and she is hoping to come back to policing March the 1st. Now, I do not have a position for her, so that will be something that y'all will have to take into consideration at that point. It would be 4 months of the year remaining if you decided to move forward with another position for another police officer position. Of course, then we also have the funding the following year. So I know that money's an issue to try to come up with. Patrol cars, the new patrol cars are actually, we had 1 finished this week other than the markings on it, and they expect to have the rest of them by the end of the month.
I had a question, I guess, related somewhat to your affair and the rest of you guys. What are y'all thinking? I know this is something we'll probably have to discuss down the road. How do you feel? Let's just go with that, about possibly keeping one of the better cars as a codes enforcement person vehicle, or do you think that we probably need to just cut ties with those vehicles as far as the maintenance? Do you think that's going to be a headache more so than a help?
Well, the 2 black units I want to keep, especially if we're going to even consider bringing an officer back. Like right now, we don't have a spare vehicle. We did hit a deer in one of the black vehicles this past weekend, $6,000 worth of damage. It doesn't take much, it's still drivable. But, you know, we don't have a vehicle. Thankfully, this new one is about to come up to get us where we'll have something while it's in the shop. The white cars, they all have quite a bit of mileage on them. Now, that being said, we've replaced water pumps, I think probably in 3 of them, and that's about $6,000 for each water pump because it had to go through Ford. The maintenance has wore us out lately, so they may last another 50,000 miles, but we are sinking a lot of money into them at this point.
That's kind of what I wanted to know. It's just something I've been asked about, and I thought, well, you know.
Well, I know that the fire department had also expressed an interest in one of them, which is whatever y'all want to do with them. I mean, like I said, you know, they may last 2 more years, and of course, you know, we drive them a whole lot harder than what codes will. Even fire department, I mean, like most of our guys, their vehicles, like the engine hours is what kills them. Because they'll stay running for 12 hours versus, you know, getting out of the house and turning it off. So it's got a whole lot of engine hours.
I just had a quick question before. I was speaking with some of your officers the other night. They were saying I was just asking them what they felt like they needed or wanted to make their job better. And they just had a couple of what I thought was interesting suggestions. I encouraged them to come to you and go through the proper channels, as one always should. But it had to do with a couple of roads needing adequate speed limit signs, because it was hard to enforce, because there was maybe potentially no speed limit sign on those roads or light age or anything else like that. So I just simply wanted to put that bug in your ear that the conversation was had. And I know that I was like, hey, get us a list. I mean, we can't take action on anything we don't know. So
yeah, the street department is very helpful with anything that, I mean, anytime that I've called Jeff or Scott, Tim, I mean, they'll go right out and put a sign out if they've got one. So it's, you know, they've got to let us know, and I'll take that up, you know. But, you know, same with the lighting, and I know that, you know, we usually once a month try to pull the street lights that are out. If we do not forget, the mayor's been good about reminding us. A note to the new mayor coming in that we may have to be reminded about that.
And I will say too, so that this report, looking at the drug arrest, you know, or possibly even DUIs, you know, if you see a 0, some might be like, well, you know, they're just not catching anybody. But I do pick on the officers, especially the ones I know fairly well about that, you know, and what I've gotten from them, which I think is also a positive. You know, you may not have the numbers here, but they say the activity is not as open as it has been in the past. It's not as, you know, just everywhere out in everybody's line of view. And he said, I believe that's because that they know that we're out there. We've got the dog, we've got the extra officers, they see us more. And I would tend to agree with that. You're probably more cautious in that. I'm not saying it's not here, but, you know.
A lot of times the officer presence is the biggest thing. I mean, even like keeping someone from rummaging through the vehicles. The odds of us catching them are slim, but if they see a patrol car drive down the road,
right,
they may move over to the next county, hopefully.
And I like one in particular, and I'm not going to bring him out, but that asked a lot of good questions when they pull people over, because there's, you know, they actually do have rights when you get pulled over, right, but there's nothing wrong with saying, where you come from? Because that right there makes people nervous. They feel maybe you know where they're coming from, and that alone is a, you know, so I commend him, and you probably know which one for that, because that does definitely help.
Conversation is a huge part of our job. I have a couple of guys that really like to write the citations, and I tell them that you're missing so much by not just engaging in formal conversation with the driver.
Yeah, it's amazing what they'll tell you.
You may even decide you don't want to write that person a citation.
Right.
They may have a good reason for speeding.
That's true too.
So there's all sorts of things.
Yeah, one of these citations was to our visiting preacher.
I did hear that.
No one is above the law.
And he didn't sit there to preach to them and save them.
And he said that he was guilty, and he was very upfront.
I have noticed, though, state troopers, the highway patrol, they really, really patrol our, and they come by my house, they sit down in front of Jennifer's, and I mean, they've really
been writing a whole lot of seatbelt and cell phone citations, I understand, which is great. I'm glad to have them in the area. If nothing else, it gives us extra backup, it gives us extra officer presence.
It's just good for them to be seen.
Absolutely.
People are, I don't know why, but I'm kind of, when I see a highway patrol or state trooper, I'm really making sure
I still hit my brakes.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know, there's just something about, I know they report to the governor, so, you know, there's something about that. So, but they have really been patrolling our town.
Yes, ma'am. I'm glad
Giving us a lot of help and a lot of praise. As far as the lights, Stephanie, where I live, I'm going to be the first one to see those lights up and down that street. You can tell immediately. That's why that IGA called and say, hey, the lights are out again, somebody check on that in the tank. So, that's, you know.
That is true.
Anyway, well, thank you so much, appreciate you, Chris.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. We had, with the fire department, there you go. All right.
You should have copies of last one.
Yes, sir.
Have any questions?
Good job.
I did have a question for you.
Yes.
Just because I found a lot to know. Could you elaborate on the two-tire issue that you and I were talking about like a couple months ago?
Jacobs?
We know they had trucks, but remember you would put in for tires on the last budget.
But the two of the trucks we were wanting to put, we just can't buy tires for
Yeah,
it.
could you elaborate on that, because nobody else knew that, and I was just like,
You can't buy tires for it anymore. And without,
and is that the tanker truck?
the tanker and the ladder, but, and the ladder was taken out of service today because it couldn't pass maintenance.
So would that move the ladder truck as the larger of the two problems? Does that make the ladder truck the bigger problem now?
They're both about the same. It just depends, you know, if it's something you need a ladder, you need it really bad. If you need water, you need a tanker. I mean, fix one, half dozen the other. Either one, be cutting your nose off, spite your face down. But you can't get tires for either one of the trucks.
They don't make them anymore?
Now, for the ladder truck, you'd have to change the hubs and the axles or the rear end to get tires fit, because those split reels is not with the outer piece that got the clamps on. And the other one, the tire sizes, you can't buy the tire sizes without ordering them. I think there was a place, maybe Japan, like 12 or a piece.
What does that leave us with then?
The tanker is still in service.
Okay.
But the ladder had to come out of service. There were some other issues. It wouldn't pass the drip test with the ladder. It leaks down, and the cylinders, the outriggers are leaking, and they're leaking too fast to pass the test that they need. So
What do we do with it, Eric, when they're out of service and we can't use them anymore? Where do they go?
the last ones, well, put them up for sale. Somebody might want them for the motor, or some of the chassis parts or something, but they're really, or just.
And you said we're lucky to get just a couple thousand bucks from them.
You might get 10 maybe out of the ladder, maybe, but I mean, that's it. It won't, without spending probably 15 or 20 to get it back in service, you know. But I don't know if you could change the rear end and the wheels and the hubs and stuff for that even. You know, that still would count getting the pump. There's some leaking valves on the pump and stuff. And it's just age. They're just wore out. There's nothing.
So you, researching anything to see about, I mean, obviously we're gonna have to replace stuff.
Yeah, I mean, because
We can't
just
not
let it
have
go. I mean, I know the budget is
A new one,
on top of it down.
And that's definitely gonna be over 25,000.
A new one comparable to that, you're looking on the low end, $750,000. And
A low end?
the low end.
What would, I mean, because obviously we'd have to take out a payment on that. Do we have any idea what that payment would look like?
I mean,
We
you know,
probably
they're
would purchase them.
used ones. That's
what
it
I
was
think.
used when it was bought. It came from Milford, Illinois.
Yeah, we got.
The tanker came from Foxborough, Virginia,
But
and
even
we bought both of them for under $100,000, but they were old. They were old when we bought them.
Yeah.
But they served the purpose well. But the tanker is still running at the moment, but it's.
What do you think a reasonable number is on a used ladder truck that will get us something?
I'd have to do some looking. I'd have to do some looking. Depending on how much, if they build a little bigger, it could stand at least 75 foot instead of 55. Because of the new buildings, with all the two-story buildings, homes that we have now, at least 75 foot. It's 55 foot now.
Would you mind, please, on both those trucks, getting us some information, some actionable items, because we can't do with what we don't
You
know.
want something on used and new?
Please, please, because we can't act on something we don't have. Please,
I
sir.
will say that like used trucks now, a lot of those, and that's just recently, where I've been reading that fire departments that had trucks they were not using, instead of selling them, they were giving them to the areas that lost everything in the flood.
Mm.
because they obviously lost all their equipment.
But they, I said, the ladder, I didn't know about it till yesterday, actually. It was, everything's been serviced.
Yeah, because we have not talked about it.
No, well, the tire thing, it just came up
Yeah.
the last month, and we've been looking
Okay.
kind of high and low, thought we might stumble upon some tires, but there aren't any in the United States that you can get. There's none for the ladder truck, there's none, there aren't any
And that's a
800.
problem, if it was just changing out the rim, that's not.
There aren't any 820, it's not changing the rim, you have to change the hubs, because it's got the big rims
There's no
with the locks that go around the outside of the rim, you'd have to change the hubs, and to change the hubs, you have to change the brakes. And the rear end, you would probably just have to change the whole rear end of the truck. And there's no, if you could even find one, that would work, I don't know.
So the tanker truck is the one that's still in service.
It's still in service.
But the tires are unsafe.
Yes, yeah, well, yeah, they need to be replaced.
Yeah.
They're way past what an FTA requires, they're probably 3 times past what an FTA would like to see them replace that, so.
So I know I'm asking a lot, so forgive me for being a pain in the rear here. So on top of the information that you bring us, Misty, would you mind helping that with financial action?
Mhm.
That way we can have all of our,
Is anybody aware that there's any possible grant possibilities out there?
The state's got something coming up, I got an email about it last week, and had to talk to a gentleman late last week, or the first this week. And I haven't looked into it a whole lot, it's for equipment and training, so I don't know what kind of equipment. Most of the stuff for trucks, they're usually really limited on what they'll do for a truck, but, anything will be better than that, I guess.
Okay.
thank you, Ray.
I guess it's up there for Misty.
Thank you, sir.
So, Jeff, you've got, that Eric is going to bring us information. Okay. Consider E911, have we already talked about court report? Oh, we already talked about that. That was about people arrested and go to court, right?
The next step.
Yeah.
Mayor,
The
the
next step.
court clerk reports 102 cases in October, comprised of 94 traffic and 8 criminal cases.
Any questions? Okay, consider E911 interlocal agreement.
Mayor, if I may, this is the agreement where all the jurisdictions in Dixon County, including the county, are working with E911 to purchase the radios. Everybody's picked how many radios they need. They're getting a loan, and we're paying it back. Everybody's paying it back over the 5-year period. We signed an LOI several months ago. The number actually went down, and we added 2 radios, so that was a little bit nice. So that's kind of component 1 that I would ask for a vote on. We need to sign that. Everybody has taken action on it, but Van Leer and Byrne will be the last 2. The county signed, the city of Dixon signed, they're ready to go, because I think they want to have all this up and running very soon, if not December, by the 1st of January. The other kind of piece I'm adding in, I passed it out when I got here. This is for the radios. The one I passed out is to be on the state towers. It's $200 per radio per year. It's a form contract they have. We've looked at it. That's what you got to sign to be on their radio system. You just pay per radio. So these 2 go together. Any questions I'm happy to answer.
Those 2 separate motions then.
You could take it up as one unless you feel like you need to take it up separately, but if you're going with the radios, you might as well approve being on the system that the radios work on.
And to get us started then, I'm gonna make a motion that we enter into the E911, interlocal agreement, and that we also accept the contract to be on the state towers, paying $200 per radio per year.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Consider on second and final reading an ordinance to amend the White Wolf Municipal Code, Title 15, Motor Vehicles, Traffic and Parking, Chapter 6, Parking, and Chapter 7, Enforcement regarding on-street parking.
Mayor, nothing's changed from last month. Happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Anything new, any questions since we've talked about this? Eight hours ago.
Make a motion to accept this.
Okay, have a motion from Councilman Kincaid, do I have a second? Second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, passed. Consider offer of irrevocable dedication to accept Shell's Way and Bell Circle in the Bell Forge subdivision as town streets.
Mayor, as we talked Monday night, we've been approached to accept Shell's Way and Bell Circle. That's the remaining roads in the Bell Forge subdivision. Streets has checked them out, everything looks good. Planning Commission set a, $22,500 maintenance bond for a year. So we're just asking for approval of the dedication.
Do I hear a motion?
I'll make that motion to enter into that dedication.
Do I have a second?
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Anything from Parks and Recreation? Any old business?
What happened to our conversation that we had at the work session about the accessory buildings?
Yes. So, Amanda and I and Andrew have had some conversation. We listened to what all of you said, and we've withdrawn that to, we're gonna come back a bit later with that and see if we can address some of your concerns.
Because I would still like to have the conversation.
We will. It's not gone away, just temporarily.
Under new business, consider employee handbook update.
There's only, I reviewed this thing, there's only one item that I would like to remove, and I spoke to Andrew about that, is the comp time. At the present time, it cannot be carried over from year to year. The only departments that really would have comp time is police or fire. I'd like to take that out, and let them accumulate that time.
The bottom of page 17. Is that right, Frank?
It is, yes, sir.
Yeah, it's just one line. Yeah.
It's just one line. If anybody doesn't have any objections to that. Most of them take their time, but, you know, it's in the case of our limited fire staff and our police chief, if they accumulate a lot of comp time, I don't want to force them to be out for a week or two at a time to try to utilize that, to keep from losing it. So if nobody has any issues with that, I'd like to approve this with that being omitted.
I had one other question on the employee handbook about the, when one is on maternity leave and returning, talking about being able to go into another open position. I have no problem with that. The only question I had is the question of, is that forced? Because what if that individual is not necessarily qualified for that open position? I would hate to force someone into, or allow/force someone into a position that they're not qualified for, just because that's what's open. And there didn't seem to be a lot of clarity on that.
Where are you at?
Under the section, I don't have it in front of me, forgive me, it was under the section that they added specifically on maternity leave and such.
The way that worked when I was working, the offer was made, this is what we have. And if they didn't want it, then it was up to them whether they accepted it.
Which is fine, but my question is are we offering positions just simply because they're open? Because what if that individual that is coming back, don't hear what I'm not saying, but what if that individual is not qualified for an open position? I just would hate for somebody to come back and be like, but I want that position. We're like, yeah, but you're not qualified for it. I mean, how does that handle? How is that handled? And that's my question.
So I'll jump in real quick. There's a lot of layers to employment law. The one that's the newest, that is probably the most on point, is the Workers Fairness Act. That's a very recent Tennessee law, and it talks about reasonable accommodations. That's true in so many categories of disability or what have you. So the way it works is you do have the ability to accommodate that if it's not an undue hardship. So if someone's not capable of doing the work because they're not trained or qualified, that would qualify as an undue hardship. We're not going to offer you a position you're not qualified for. You're not going to get to be the certified financial planner if you don't have the qualifications, right? So there's going to be flexibility in that. It's just designed to give some opportunities to stay with the town because you're searching for longevity. But it is designed with those protections in place. An undue hardship is a term of art that means a number of things depending on the context.
That answers my question.
Okay, I didn't know if that.
Yeah,
that's the recent law that they passed to address that.
Yeah, that answers my question. Because let's say God forbid Jeff leaves and person who answered, I'm not trying to be rude or anything. Oh, Jeff done. Well,
no, they do not get to pick. It's a reasonable accommodation. And, that will come up from time to time.
I have something under new business. What?
Are we still on?
Well, I think we have a motion to approve with an amendment from Mr. Hill, and we didn't get a second.
Oh, I didn't know he made the motion. Okay.
Yeah, I make that. So I have a question. Okay, go ahead. Or not necessarily a question. In response to your compensatory time not being carried over, I would like to ask that expert in the room that has experience working for a large corporation that deals with this, and it changes from time to time, which I'd like to hear from my wife about this. Interested in her opinion.
It's okay, but what is the legal,
It's up to the chair if you want to invite people up to talk.
yeah, I know that, but I've been sitting here wondering, okay, before, hold on there, don't leave. What is legal, because in the past, were you not allowed that, which I think you should have comp time, don't anybody take this wrong, but in the past, hasn't there been laws against comp time, that you didn't have comp time, you had to actually pay them?
No, you can never lose comp time. So
Okay.
the concern here, and Councilman Hill and I talked about it today, if you're a larger entity and have a lot of employees with a lot of built-up comp time and they all retire at once, that could be a big check because you have to pay for it.
Yes.
The way this typically works is you get paid at the end of the year for any accrued comp time. I think that because of the way the police department works, there was some concern about that, and I think just knowing that someone could build up a lot of comp time, and that's a policy of do you want that or do you not want that, but I think there's been a reason expressed on why the town may not want that due to the way the police department works. So, that's, yeah, you don't just lose it. You don't get comp time and they're like, sorry, you don't get paid.
Yeah.
You absolutely get paid for that. It's just a matter of there are reasons why you don't want it to build up to large levels for a larger corporation, which, not to steal any thunder she may have given, but that may be part of what she's going to talk about.
Yeah, I didn't realize that in lieu of time, they get paid for it and it starts over. Okay, never mind.
And that's for all employees, not just the police.
Yes, and we talked about should we have a caveat, but then you have a different category all employees should be under the same handbook. So deleting it made more sense, just because, how many employees are there with the town?
13, 14.
That's right, yeah, we were right at that 15 number when we talked,
Our
so.
street department,
Yeah.
it could be, and also our administrative department. They attend a lot of meetings, they help with things on the weekend, so.
Sure,
Yeah.
I'm saying that number could fluctuate, but
Yes,
if
yeah.
you were a corporation of 2,000,
Yeah.
and you had to automatically come up with, 20,000 hours of comp time because a bunch of people retired, that could decimate your budget that year. I don't think you're at the size to worry about that. If it does become an issue, you can start to address it maybe down the road, but I think the quicker fix at the moment, and you can always update your employee handbook. I think the last one we did was 3.5 years ago, so it'll happen regularly, but I think the easiest fix for right now was to delete that line. It just made it easier. Because a lot of your employees don't have any comp time. Several have
Yeah.
a lot. It just depends on who it is, so.
So, you want to delete this?
Yes, I would like for you to be able to hold your comp time from year to year if you so desire. I don't,
Even if you get paid for it at the end of the
well,
year?
you wouldn't get paid for it.
One or the other.
One or the other, yeah. You could choose to get paid for it, or
No, that's what I'm saying. If we left that on there,
you would have to either take the pay or the time off, one of the two, at the end of the year. And I would like to give them the option not to have to do that. I'd like to give them the option to be able to build up that comp time. For an example, let's just say that you built up some comp time and your child passed away. You could take off a month because you've got this built up. It's almost like an extra sick leave type situation. Or if you did have an illness like cancer, you could take your comp time for that and still get paid. Those kind of things.
so what if you saved it up, say you didn't take any comp time for 3 years, so at the end of that, you take, 3 months of comp time, that was yours?
I mean, you could, but, I don't think we'll have that issue. One of the reasons that we end up with the police department anyway with so much comp time in certain situations, because they can't in good conscience take off a block of time, because we're shorthanded a lot anyway, or if it's the police chief, it's hard to lose your chief for 2 weeks at a time to go to Florida, so he just doesn't do it. And therefore you end up stacking that, that time. It's just, from being an employee that I felt restrained with my comp time, which is time we didn't want to work anyway, that we were basically forced to do because we were short-handed, and then you're going to tell me how I can utilize it. I just didn't think that was fair, and I don't think it's fair now.
Do you want to hear from Sharon? Somebody got any questions from Sharon Ferrari, me? How you handle it at Vanderbilt, or what?
We can only build up so much comp time. 120 hours is the max, and after that, you don't have to take some off or be paid for it.
Yeah.
You can only bank 120 hours at a time.
And I would agree with that policy with the size of you guys. I mean, you have to, I mean, you can't have 300 people with 400, 500 hours of comp time. But really and truly, I guarantee you, if you look at our books, there's not much comp time there other than perhaps police chief and a deputy or two. I mean, you're talking about a minuscule amount of and that's why I didn't want to just be like, well, it applies to everybody but you, because then that's not really fair either, because if she gets comp time and going to these classes, and she's like, well, wait a minute, I want to save mine in case,
Why would going to classes be considered payment on with comp time?
Well, and I give you an example, well, not here, but where I used to work, Board of Education, there were classes that we would have to attend after hours, because that's when the class was provided, and they would give you comp time. You'd be required to go, but they would give you comp time for,
That doesn't sound right.
No, man,
You should be paid your regular, if not overtime.
Well, and with the comp time we did anyway, and I'm assuming here it's time and a half, is that, so you did get your comp time, if you spent 4 hours in class, you got 6 back.
Right.
So they give you something.
Something to think about. In her situation, they're allowed to donate comp time to other employees that have hardships.
They didn't know us doing that either, which I don't understand, because hours are hours, what's it matter? And
Right.
We had a guy that, was dying, and we could not, so.
I remember that happened.
Yeah.
I mean, some people misuse them and they run out, and they get things donated to them. I've heard her speak about you know, the comp time. Vanderbilt's been through so many different versions of how they do that. Now everything is just PTO, paid time off, no matter if, you know, you're sick or it's a vacation or any time away from work is called PTO. So that's considered all the same.
Yeah, I can just only speak for the office, and then there are occasionally seminars or TML conference and things that we go to. I try to go to them too. It doesn't matter about me, but when employees go, it takes them away from their families the weekends. But they get classes while they're there, they get training, they get updated on everything, and, yeah, when they come back, which they've got a really good boss. When they come back, we take off Monday and Tuesday, or I tell them to take off Friday, whatever, we worked it out. We just don't even, but that would be at times that they would use comp time. And they do help. They help the Christmas parade. They help with Main Street Festival. They help with a lot of things on the weekend. But they work it out.
It just seems strange to me to consider doing your job off premises comp time. It just should be regular pay. Chief, you said you had a few words?
If I could just shed some light on this. Most of the people in my department have less than 40 hours of comp time usually on the books. If they know, like when Macy knew that she was going to need time off, or if they know they're going to have a surgery coming up or a baby being born, as with a couple of our officers, they tried to bank instead of getting paid for overtime. They asked me if they could use it, take it as comp time and save it, so that way they had a full paycheck coming in when they were out. I am the only one with an excessive amount of hours. I think the handbook says anything over 95 hours. I'm about 350 over the 15 years. I've been trying to burn some, but as it's been said, if I take off more than a few days, it becomes a nightmare for me to return. I'm about the only one that I know of that this really affects. Could you pay me out? Absolutely. I would rather you not, because it would affect my retirement through OPM, which is why I have not asked for any type of buyout. I've just been trying to use it as I could.
Thank you.
Do we want to go with the motion to accept it, but?
I'll second Ryan's motion.
Okay. To remove that line. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay, well, I was gonna bring up, and I'll come back to the reschedule.
Mayor, we had a nay.
We had a what?
We had a nay.
Had a nay. Okay. Did you get that, Jeff?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. I was asked to bring up to the council, up at Buffalo and up at your parking lot. It's dark. I mean, and they come in real early and they live late, now it's getting dark early. They've requested a light on one of the poles or something up there, to add a light.
I think, and it depends on which pole, we've got maybe 3 that we pay for. H&A Properties pays them, Dutchess Electric to install, and we pay a monthly fee. If I've got an available pole that's on my property that we can add another one, we'll just add it through the partnership. Because we found that it's better, it's only like maybe $12 to $15 a month. They maintenance, they replace it when it gets broken. So I'll meet with them and see what pole, and if it's on me, we'll supply that.
Well, I think they had a problem with, one of the ladies said that the man tried to call her to get her to come up in the car, and ever since then, they've had affairs, it was like, okay. So you'll take care of that.
It's more for commercial.
Oh.
But not a lot more, so.
Were you gonna say something?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Reschedule the December town council work session?
Currently scheduled for Thanksgiving.
Yes.
I'm good with that. I don't know why y'all want it.
Not coming that day.
Connie, you can cook and bring our food.
Oh, he makes the best dressing I've ever eaten, so we
Well,
can do that.
it's the December work session is in November.
Oh, that's right.
Okay.
It's December 3rd is the regularly scheduled meeting, so.
It's like Avery said, it's Thanksgiving.
So, when do you guys suggest we have it?
Not Friday, I'm shopping.
What about Wednesday night before Thanksgiving?
No.
No? No? Okay, no.
Tuesday night?
Tuesday night? Back it up, but yeah.
I'm good with Tuesday.
Okay.
I will not be able to be here that night.
Okay.
Monday?
Monday? Can you
What
do your
day
Monday?
can you be here?
I could do Monday. I mean, I know if we did it on the 2nd,
Which Monday?
what's 24 hours before, is that really gonna work?
Back up to there or go forward to there?
But the 25th,
Monday, 25th.
I think that's the one.
Could you actually do one?
Well, and that's the other thing y'all could consider is, I don't know what's on the agenda, but
You know, if you look,
you just took care of a lot of second readings.
there's gonna be the annexation on Highway 70.
Yeah.
But we don't know what else will come up.
Well, we don't know what'll come up. I mean, you got rid of the Jazz Center thing, the sprinkler system, second reading.
You may have, the ancillary structure.
Maybe, but we can even put that off until January.
Will we have anybody coming in asking for rezoning on all these properties that we're bringing in? Is there a possibility?
It's not a possibility at this point,
It would
because
be
we
too
won't
late.
have time to get it.
Okay,
It'll go to PC first.
okay.
So that's one thing this body can consider. Do you want a work session, for December? Because it looks like it may be a light agenda.
I'm not aware of a lot.
I mean, there was a time when there wasn't a work session.
Yep.
Went that far
That's
back.
So, you want to cancel work session?
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Just cancel it.
Thanksgiving really throws it off.
It does.
Oh, darn.
Okay.
On a personal level, December 15th, after the parade, if anybody wants, and at the Bid Center, we're having a huge special for what Ballet Moore's putting on. We're going to have over 100, about 150 kids putting on a Christmas production. It's free to everybody. We're hoping it'll be a town thing. Have hot chocolate and all the 9 yards.
My kid in there, I think.
That's right.
Thank you. Yeah. I apologize for her, Carl.
She's great. She just moved up to junior pro.
Okay, we're not having a work session. Am I correct in saying that this is my last? Yes, okay. So I just want to tell everybody, all you people back there, that everybody got up and left, so I'm but an honor, a privilege, and my life goes on, the next chapter, and congratulations. We had the nicest talk the other night. I thanked her for running a very, what I consider, clean, classy campaign. We're a small town, that's how we need to keep it. And she said likewise to me, and we both said that no matter what happens, the town goes on. You know, nothing shuts the town down. No monkey stops the show. So, I've enjoyed it. I've been in this business 25 years. And let me tell you, people that was not here 25 years ago, I'm just going to have to pat all the different councils I've worked with, the different administrations I've worked with, all the donors. When you go out and enjoy things we've got in this town, I'm just going to go ahead and say it tonight, we've got it in those last 25 to 30 years. This town looks nothing like it did. You might like it, you might not. You might say, well, you know, we like it. But I think that the right decisions, I have confidence in the council up here. We'll have one new council member, and actually I've never met him, but he just goes there, I'm sure he's fine. I think a life's going to go on for me, I can tell you that. I have a very good life. I go to Spain, I'm going to New York in December. Life goes on for me. So do not anybody worry about me. I know you're not anyway, but if you are, don't. But I'm proud of things that we've accomplished. We have accomplished a lot. And I think you'll go on. So I want to congratulate. And this is just symbolic because I will still be here to close, to like open the meeting in December and then we.
No, the new council set.
I'm here. There you go. You are so welcome, so welcome. My family is ecstatic that I am quit. They have already said no organization, no nothing, not. So they're ecstatic. We're all very, very happy.
Mayor, you've done a great job. I've loved working for you, and I'm looking forward to working with the next administration.
Yes.
You've done great. The town is better because of you. Thank you.
You're welcome. But I am tired of meetings. I wish that if I had $10 for every meeting I've attended, I'm talking about 3, I'd be wealthy. I'm talking about possibly, Stephanie, 3 to 4 meetings a week, and some of them I wouldn't even know about. Jeff would send them, they say, you coming to me? And I'd say, I'll be right there. Civic Center, what is it? But, yeah, so I would be so happy to not attend meetings. And you won't see me here. I have no vote here. You won't see me here. I have no reason to be here, because I'm leaving in your hands, and I have full confidence. Even you, Scott. But anyway, so it's been just great working with all of you.
Thank you much.
So well.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, so do I have a motion to
I make a
adjourn?
motion to
Okay, after that.
Well, y'all have it.
Oh, I'm not crying, don't cry.
No, but it doesn't take much to get me going.
Okay.
I'll second.
Reed and Kincaid and.
We all say aye.
Ah, yes.
Good job, everybody.